Hello and welcome to your favorite newspaper headline show, the Inside Nigeria. Very quickly, for the first part of the show, I'll be reading to you the major stories from these Nigerian newspapers. But then for the second part of the show, you will get to have details about these stories. My name is Tion Joseph, your regular host. I'll begin today's show with Leadership newspaper, which is, of course, the most influential newspaper in Nigeria. On the front page of Leadership this morning, the lead story says, Breaches of Electoral Act, INEC not independent, afraid of powers that be. It's coming from lawyers. Says it has failed to employ statutory instruments. Want political parties punished for defaulting over detailed financial reports. Some functions should be taken away from INEC Agba Koba. That is what we have on the front page of Leadership newspaper. You can hop on to our website, www.leadership.ng, so as to have more stories. Now we head straight to this day. And on this day today, the list story says, in face of oil theft, CBN's RT200 initiative records $4.987 billion in flow. 81 billion naira disbursed as rebates to exporters, says Emefiele. Pledges improved forex supply to non-oil exporters. That is the report we have from this day, this morning. That takes us to the Punch. And on the Punch this morning, the list story says import duty controversy. Private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. 17 business moguls, banks, others move to stop government from grounding luxury jets. Aircraft owners sue government with foreign registered firms. Trustees insist payment illegal. NCAA, customs await court papers. Abuja court plan to set hearing date for suit. That is the report that we have from Punch. That takes us to the Nation. And on the Nation this morning, the list says Wike to Rivers PDP await directive on presidential poll. We will tell you who to vote for. That is what we have on the Nation. Now we conclude the first part of the show with the Vanguard. And the list story on the Vanguard this morning says alleged partisanship. FCT please disrupt anti-CJN protest by CSOs. CJN's statement in Port Harcourt leaves much to be desired. CSOs ask CJN to resign or face nationwide protest. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned for the first part of the show. We crave your indulgence to do the same for the second part of the show. I'll be back your way again, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. My name is Tion Joseph. Do have a great day.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Good morning and welcome to the breakfast segment of Inside Nigeria, reaching your leadership television. This is the midweek edition of the show, and incidentally, it's the last day of the month of November 2022. With me in the studio, as you can see, is a triple cap chief. He's a syndicated columnist, a TV host, and a public affairs analyst. And unfortunately, he was unavoidably absent last week. Mr. Jidejo, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
You're looking younger, my sister. Beautiful you.
Thank you.
Compliments of the Yuletide. We are counting down to Christmas and New Year. May God grant us the grace to be alive to witness the forthcoming Christmas and New Year celebration. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I missed
you
coming
last
out this year.
week.
Last week, duty calls. I have to survive.
Yeah.
I was far
You're
away
busy,
in the
yes, indeed.
southeast, doing some official assignments.
Perhaps we'll discuss it in the course of our program.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yes, without wasting much time, we have 5 papers on our menu for review this morning. As we always do on the program, we're starting off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership newspaper is leading with the story, Breaches of Electoral Act, INEC not independent, afraid of powers that be, lawyers. Breaches of Electoral Act, INEC not independent, afraid of powers that be, according to lawyers, says it has failed to employ statutory instruments. One political party is punished for defaulting over detailed financial reports. Some functions should be taken away from INEC Agbakoba. I'll take that leading story once again. Breaches of Electoral Act, INEC not independent, afraid of powers that be, lawyers, says it has failed to employ statutory instruments. One political party is punished for defaulting over detailed financial reports. Some functions should be taken away from INEC, according to Agbakoba. That's the leading story on INEC. And of course, I want to keep you abreast that leadership has been on developing stories from INEC since, talking about audited financial reports of political parties. Initially, INEC was not willing to play ball, but they eventually did, and this has been developing story ever since.
Exactly. The electoral management body has actually been very hesitant in wielding the big sticks in terms of punishing defaulters of the electoral law that requested them to submit 3 reports. There are 3 reports that a political party is supposed to submit.
Yes.
The first one is annual report, which is due at the end of March every year. That's the annual report. Then we have the election contributions report for those who donate monies and all of that. The third one is election expenses report. And recently, INEC came out to say, look, in 2019, the ruling party and the main opposition party overshot their election campaign expenses. I mean, their candidates, which means the incumbent president. But
that was 2013.
2019,
Okay,
the 2019,
yes.
that President Buhari and Atiku Abubakar overshot the campaign threshold. That was done recently, like a couple of months ago. That came out at a program in Lagos. And Nigerians are asking, okay, these people flouted the electoral law. What did you do? You just wave it off or what? So this is why your newspaper is coming out to say that INEC is not showing sign of independence. And quite unfortunately, in the report that was earlier published, they said out of 91 political parties that contested 2019 elections. Only 34 submitted reports. And
Wow.
PDP and
91.
APC, yes,
Only
and PDP
34.
and APC were not even among them. Apart from not being among them, even out of the 34, only a very handful of them followed the due process by having a sworn affidavit on the what they submitted. 34 just submitted whatever reports they like, maybe one-page summary and all of that. But the one that did it in the rightful way are just very few, very few. I don't know the exact number offhand. But INEC has also, in the couple of, over the weekend, published 2 new documents. One dealing with campaign finances and all of that, the threshold and all of that. Then the other one speaking to issues around, I think, voters card and all of that. But I don't know. Well, the other one was speaking to issue of campaigns. And I felt this is coming late in the day. Although it's a welcome development, but if you are coming up with regulations for campaign, this is
campaign that started
September 28th. So this should have been published far before the commencement of vote. After all, the Electoral Act, through which is the basis for publishing these new regulations or guidelines, has been in effect since February 25, 2022. So within 6 months before September 28th, INEC should have issued these guidelines. But better late than never. I think it's still in order to thank you, studio, for showing us that. So better late than ever that INEC still came out with this regulation for campaigns as well as the campaign finance and all of that. But you see, we can't put all the blames on INEC. INEC has its own limitations, and it has never made any pretense. For instance, INEC is totally in absolute agreement with those who are calling for some of its functions to be taken over by other bodies.
Okay, you mean is in agreement?
Yes, the Electoral Offences Commission,
yes,
the INEC has said, look, we do not have the capacity to punish all electoral offenders. And the issue of breach.
But the other time, I think the National Assembly was trying to pass a bill to set up a.
In fact, it has been passed. That bill has been passed by the Senate, but it's against the concurrence of House of Reps. That has not been done.
Yes.
And then even when it is passed, there will need to be harmonization of the two. If there are varied positions, it will have to be passed. Then after that, you send it to the president for assent. And in fact, the Senate passed it since 2011. But you know, we run a bicameral legislation. 2021, rather, sorry. It was passed since 2021. And the House of Reps have been very reluctant to follow suit.
Yes.
And right now, I don't know, the whole thing seems in limbo. But what I'm trying to say is that INEC is very much aware of the enormity of the responsibility the Constitution and Electoral Act has placed on it, and has come out to say, look, particularly for this enforcement of electoral law provisions, I do not have all the powers. INEC total workforce is about 16,500. That was some time ago when I asked the chairman. And this 16,500, I'm not sure they have up to 500 lawyers amongst them. So, and it's not ordinary citizens like you and I that can approach court on behalf of the commission. It has to go through the lawyers. And many of the lawyers, in fact, did you know that out of the number of lawyers, which I think is just about 200 plus, only 5 of them are senior advocates. Meanwhile, these politicians you want to tackle, they can afford to bring 20 senior advocates to deal with it, to poo-poo you and ridicule you. So the commission have had to depend largely on outsourcing their legal matters. And, you know, Nigerians need to appreciate the enormity of the challenges INEC face. INEC does not conduct party primaries. But everyone that is aggrieved over party primaries or nomination that goes to court will join INEC. And that when INEC is joined as a respondent, it has to have a lawyer to represent its interest. This is something that you only go there to observe.
Yes.
Yet, the chief judge of the Federal High Court was so worried about the litany of pre-election matters that late in October, it set up a task force to deal with all the pre-election matters. If there are 1,000 of such matters, INEC will be joined in each and every of these cases. So INEC lawyers are all over the courts trying to defend the commission on matters that didn't concern it. The only thing that concerns INEC is when there is a court decision, you serve it on INEC, INEC say, okay, so this is the new candidate. We replace the old one. Like Machina now, that the Court of Appeal has upheld. Like the issue of Akpabio, there have been different. So it has gone to Supreme Court. Yes. So INEC, and that is one of the reasons why there can never, maybe in the future, there will be, but unlike in US, where the pictures of the candidates are on the ballot paper to aid voters in making their choice. They have the party logo, the party name of the candidate. If you want to do that in Nigeria, you run into trouble. Because up until the eve of the election, you don't know who is the rightful candidate in many of the parties. In fact, after the election, there is still contention on some positions. I've seen situations, it happened even in February this year, where I think it was Abaji or Kwali, where the party that won the local government chairmanship of that local government, the INEC could not issue certificate of return to any of the contestants because they have their case in court. I don't know whether it was APC or PDP candidate that won, but INEC could not issue certificate of return to either of them because the case was sub judice. That is the challenge that political parties and politicians take Nigerian through. Look at the bombing of INEC offices. Look at how much will be needed to replace all the burnt items and even renovate those structures. Who are the perpetrators? Don't look too far. It's the gladiators. So this is the challenge that.
But one begins to wonder, what is the essence of burning down the INEC offices? What do they intend to, or what is
to scare voters now that there will be no election? They don't want election. If you want election, your brothers and sisters who are going to collect their PVC, you go and burn their PVCs. You want election, you burn ballot box, you burn kubiku, the generating machine, the power generating machine, you burn them. Now, millions will have to be spent to replace those items in each of those local. And as at last year, June, INEC came out and said 41 of his offices have been raised. That was before the Anambra governorship election. And 3 months to that election in Anambra that took place on November 6, 2021, consistently, many of his local governments of offices in the Southeast were burned because some people don't want election to hold in Anambra. But the federal government, through the president, insisted that, look, even if it's 5% of the populace that will come out and vote, election must hold as scheduled. The president refused the election from being shifted because of activities of unknown government. And you know what INEC went through? Conducting election in Ihiala local government. Unknown government insisted that there would be no election in that local government. And there was no election on November 6th. INEC had to shift the poll till the Tuesday after the Saturday that was initially. So these are the activities that are making. What is so difficult, my sister? The law says whether there's election or not, every year as a political party, file in your annual statement of assets and liabilities. You fail to comply. The law says every election year, those who give you money, write their names, file the report on how much you were able to raise through
Mm.
those
funds.
through fundraiser. Then after the election, 6 months. In fact, the election contribution report is due 3 months after the election. The election expenses report is due 6 months after the election. You cannot tell me that 6 months after the election you are still gathering your report.
But what I'm wondering is that what if all opposition parties exploit this loophole at the end of the day to challenge the election, the outcome?
Well, unfortunately, it's not a
look
grant.
At this party did not do that. Okay, it's not a grant.
There is a already established grant in the constitution on how you can challenge the outcome of election. For instance, you cannot go to court to seek nullification of election on the basis of vote buying. You can't. There are specific guidelines that tells you on what basis, if there is rigging, if there is overvoting, if there is manipulation. But to say somebody spent 1 billion, spent 500 million, and so you should nullify the election. No. Because even the issue of vote buying or vote trading, as I put it, is a very nebulous issue, technically speaking and legally speaking. Some people will come to induce voter, but they will tell you they are giving them transport, logistics, that, or somebody will say, I owe him money. Will you say, hey, and you didn't owe me? If I give you 10,000, I say, Winifred, that money where they owe you, take. So SSS will now arrest you and say, why are you paying her back the money at polling unit? You know, these people are very smart. The vote buying I witnessed in Osun in 2018, you know how they do it. When you come, you vote. It was article. When you vote, they won't give you money there. They park their vehicles at a very long distance from the polling unit. What you get from the polling unit is tally number. When you vote, they will just give you a small piece of paper with a number. They've already customized it. So you take it to the bus where somebody is seated. So when you give it to the person who's seated inside the vehicle, then it turns to cash. That's how they track. So and INEC own responsibility is limited to the polling unit environment. There was a story of a former governor of a Southwest state who decided to pay all civil servants 3,000 on the eve of election so that they can vote for his party. He just wired 3,000 into their account. And one of the candidates in that election, which was in 2018 also, said, look, I'm a pensioner, I'm a retiree. As the state government reduced my pension to 3,000 naira, how come I get this alert of 3,000? He now went to his people in the pension. They said, it's Mr. Governor that said we should give all civil servants so that they will use it to transfer themselves to go and vote. That's vote buying. In fact, in Ekiti, I saw where they take account numbers of people who come to vote. They will not pay you. They will not give you money there. They will just say, write your account details here. So how do you go to court to prove that there is a vote buying? What you saw, what you witnessed is people's account number being taken. So the wiring, the transfer will take place maybe later in the evening or the following day. So people have developed different technicalities to, but if you have Electoral Offences Commission that is dedicated, that have crack detectives, maybe with body cameras and some other sophisticated gadgets that can link the payments to vote, that's when you can get conviction.
Just like trader money.
That was another sophisticated way. Where you are giving people trader money on the eve of election.
I think the Punch also has similar story on INEC. Let's see what the Punch is saying on it. Don't go away. Okay, I meant to say this day. Let's see this day newspaper. In face of oil theft, okay, we are moving away from INEC to business now. In face of oil theft, CBN's ROT 200 initiative records $4.987 billion in CBN's ROT 200 initiative records $4.987 billion inflow. 81 billion naira disbursed as rebates to exporters, says Emefiele, CBN governor. Pledges improve forest supply to non-oil exporters. Oil theft. It's still an issue.
It's still an issue. I don't know what, I've not read the details of this RT 200 initiatives. But whatever it is, it's a positive development.
Yes,
if we are getting 4.987 billion,
almost 5
exchange
billion
that
dollars.
into naira. Almost 5 billion naira. If you are getting that inflow,
$5 billion.
$5 billion. If you convert that to naira at the 750 or whatever, that's a huge source of money. So, but can we really see the end of this oil theft?
That is why I just looked.
Because
after reading the cover story, I looked.
I wish we can say bye-bye, but it takes a lot of strong will for us to see.
And most annoying thing is that why is the federal government reluctant to name and shame?
That is it. Because if you recall the interview that was granted by Tom Polo, after his men arrested...
even the National Assembly too, when they were talking about, they also refused, shied away from naming and shaming them.
Tom Polo granted an interview to one of the media channels and said, look, if he indicted the military, he said he has names of some generals who are involved in this illegal business, that they have to stop. If they don't stop, he will name names. And since that time, he has not granted another interview. So, you know, when people are
up there... They could have told him, don't name any name.
Of course, unless he wants to die.
Don't worry, we'll handle it.
Unless he wants to die, because all these military top brass could be among those who are... Because, no, listen, Winifred, I do not have information to indict anybody.
Yes, but I have information. I've already told you that when we went with Hyperdeck then to go and do cleanup in Ogoni, we stumbled upon soldiers guiding pipelines, siphoning crude right there. They even threatened to shoot us. I was really terribly afraid.
River State Governor has also come out.
They said, why must we just come like that? Why didn't they inform them? I'm telling you, under this woman, when I was still on the field.
So
we stumbled upon them right there.
So if this is not done by high net worth individuals, highly placed people, politically exposed persons in the society, peradventure,
that is even among them.
We will have seen the end. But in situations where, as Governor Wike said, it's even the civil defense, the police and others that are giving protection to those who are siphoning this. You recall that he asked that a particular officer should be redeployed from the state.
Oh, yes.
Early this year. It was an open...
And nothing was done about it.
He said he doesn't want that. He's supposed to... And why did the governor react? It was because of the environmental degradation, the suit and all of that this illegal refinery. But illegal or artisanal refining is even a microcosm of what oil theft is. Because this oil theft, they come with badges, with ships, load, and then they walk away. We have NIMASA, we have Nigerian Navy, we have the civil defense, we have the police, we have the army, they have JTF, and all of this is happening. I saw a video, where somebody demonstrated that kilometers, hundreds of kilometers before a ship will come to a territory, they have sophisticated gadgets to see, to see how that ship is coming, and all its activities can be monitored at a dashboard. But what did the military say? They said some of these ships, they switch off their radars. Or all
So
this.
any ship can just come and swim,
So,
come in
even if they switch off their radar,
waters.
are people not seeing them as they siphon
switch
this thing? You recall that Tompolo's men spotted so many where the connections were made. Then, right, there was even a ship that was burnt.
Yes, by a navy. They quickly set it on fire.
They set it on
why
fire.
Would you destroy evidence? They said they have the responsibility for that.
So, you know, when there's a cover up.
But today there was something that happened. Since that discovery, there was appreciable increase in oil barrel per day. It increased during that month. You noticed?
But can that be sustained? Can that be sustained? Because the contract for Tompolo's, the contract for Tompolo's security outfit is for about 6 months. So if the contract ends, will we not go back to?
Definitely.
And you can see this administration is shifting everything till after 2023 election. You understand? So first subsidy removal after 2023 election. Now, those who are involved in this oil theft, I mean the grand patrons of, and let me say, because the artisanal miners that are being rounded off and being prosecuted, they are not the bearers.
They're not.
The ones that are making millions per trip.
That have succeeded in reducing
our daily oil production have never been caught.
No. They are the ones that are using ships and
They are the ones that connive with foreigners to come and steal the oil. And until when you are able to deal with those ones, that's when you see sizable reduction in the oil theft in the Niger Delta region. In as far as it's still the small fries that we go after. It's like these people boarding INEC offices. I tell you, they are sponsored.
Yes, they are.
It's not those riffraffs that will go and buy 4 liters of fuel and douse INEC office and send it. Somebody sends them to go and do it.
Yes.
Because I don't see what is the grounds. What's the grounds of ordinary citizens about setting INEC office abate? If it's of no political relevance to them. So and unfortunately, it is the states that have the instrument of coercion. If the states that have the police, the army, the DSS, and all of that cannot be committed to see, look at the economic hemorrhage that we are recording as a result of this oil theft. If you do the maths of how much we allegedly are losing to oil theft and the cost of a barrel of crude oil in the international market and do the multiplication, you will see that all the money we are going to borrow from China and from across the globe to fund our budget, if we have been able to block this oil leakage, oil theft, we will not be borrowing as much to fix our infrastructure.
It's true. But how come the governments we've had to date, they seem weak or inept at tackling this oil theft? Because they've always raised the alarm. At the end of the day, nothing happens. You think they don't get reports? They don't know who is actually doing the stealing?
They have their. If Tompolo said he has the names of those who are doing it, Tompolo is a non-state actor.
Yes.
Then how much more do you want to tell me?
But these are governments that have their government hamstrung because of financial constraint. Yet they are not going after the
because they are big fish.
They are right under them.
No, you are dealing with. These are people with enormous resources that can destabilize a state, that can destabilize a country. They have amassed so much wealth. These are billionaires in dollars. So any attempt to go and arrest them or to bring them to justice can lead to social unrest, because these people, even though I don't have their names, I don't have their identity, but if it were to be a serious government, when a non-state actor said I have the names, even if you don't have, you approach that person to say, okay, in confidence, give us the names. And then do your own investigation, independent investigation. There are so many of these top people that are living well above their means.
Because
so
it's really unfortunate. What I'm really actually
I think that's the one that was burnt,
Yes.
that came to steal some too around September or
I'm dragging
August.
the issue that if the federal government could deploy so much resources to engage Tompolo, even deflect
billions.
even deflect criticisms that trade it. At the end of the day, the guy came up with some disclosure, and the federal government that actually commissioned him is not doing anything about it. It's just putting his hands to and pretending he's not hearing.
So is it me that I don't belong to the military?
Do you see it as just a smoke screen?
It's not a smoke screen.
We are not doing anything. Look, we're actually doing something. We have commissioned.
You know, the fact that they actually look beyond the DSS, the Navy, the NIMASA, and all of that to now go and make deal with a non-state actor is a failure of government.
Yet they are not even.
You get what I'm saying? There are people, Western Naval Command, Eastern Naval Command, Southern Naval Command. They have this command. And yet the Nigerian government, what is the work of the Navy if you cannot protect the waterways? What is the work of NIMASA?
Yes.
Yet government have to go and I don't know whether is it 6 billion or whatever billion that was given to Tompolo's and security outfit to now help in the
so much so that they had to be intervene in the report between him and
that's why people say until when we are ready to be serious, this is happening, and that's why those who are engaging in the petty artisanal refinery or bush refinery as they call it, that's why they say, look, make you not come touch us here, not be we they disturb you now. Deliberate we they look for here. Yes. Because anybody that can afford this kind of ship that we are seeing on the screen, it's not looking for deliberate. That one is a multi-billionaire. Because that ship alone
will cost half Nigeria's daily barrel production.
Exactly. From 1.8 million barrels per day, we fell to 900,000.
It was quite huge.
They have it.
They have it.
And you know how much this one will cost to buy one, whether even if it's a fairly used. Look at this badge now, with all the facilities to siphon fuel, because they are not using passenger and this is not even a cargo ship. Yet they will come, siphon, and their collaborators are abroad who will buy the crude at below the market price, and the business unusual. So until when we are ready. And that's why I look at next year's election and I say, well, I hope we'll get it right in 2023. Because people are looking beyond this administration.
Yes, already, yes.
People are counting down to the end of this administration. It's an admittance. How could you, with all the... No.
I know you think.
I'm trying not to...
Let's move over to the next paper we have on our menu. Time is on our side. Let's see the Punch newspaper. The Punch. The Punch, import duty controversy. Private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. Import duty controversy. Private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. 17 business moguls, banks, others move to stop government from grounding luxury jets. Aircraft owners sue government with foreign registered firms. Trustees insist payment illegal. NCAA Customs awaits court papers. Abuja court plan to set hearing date for suit.
These are big boys.
They are.
You can see now.
Because of what happened now during the APC presidential candidates in Jos. How many? It was 30.
30 according to Punch newspaper.
Yes.
That private jet and over 95 shuttles.
Yes.
To Jos Airport by chartered flight.
Yes,
the private jets were like 30.
Yes, they were 30.
The private jets alone were 30. Then those who run chartered flights, when they calculated, it was around 95. That's to tell you, when you said there is no money. These people now, they wire how many senior advocates? How would they not defeat federal government in court? These are big boys. So, do you know that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than the other? Is it me that is looking for daily bread that will now be fighting federal government, taking federal government to court over issue of import duty controversy? The point is, I do hope I do hope. And by the way, although this is like a digression, where are we with Nigeria here or Nigeria Ethiopia here?
Oh, the last I heard, the airline.
Somebody has taken
Operators
government
in
to
Nigeria.
court again
Yes,
over
airline
the
operators.
issue
The
of
domestic airlines, they have gone to court challenging it.
the Ethiopian airline being made
Even
our
though the
national carrier.
aviation minister said
Said
nothing will stop him. It's not.
Is he not counting
He's going
that
to court.
by whatever is not done by the end of by this January 2023? Forget.
The president did say that they should flag it off December. And now
the court has placed an injunction.
Indefinitely.
So this private jet owner, this is power tussle between the big boys and the president and the federal government. But if you want to indulge in luxurious items, you should be ready to pay the needed import tax. Import duties and taxes on it, because that's the way it's done even in other climes. When you are these exotic cars, mansions, you pay property tax on them.
Yes,
because that's how the rich, you take from the rich to pay to support the poor. That is the only way. If you want to run a private jet, federal government is not saying you should not have one, but pay appropriate import duties.
Yes, just like what you said, it reminds me, even in the developed countries, all these artists, musicians, even our own, do they pay tax? Like, remember they have jailed some artists in US.
Yes, even footballers.
Even
footballers.
We had
this
black guy actor that was jailed. Lauryn Hill even went to prison for it. And Shakira is already awaiting her own. The trial was
there is even I think a Spaniard footballer who was also accused of not paying the tax and all of that. But in Nigeria, that's why the poor don't pay tax, because the rich men who are supposed to pay the tax, they get waivers.
Yes, they do.
Apart from waivers now, they will railroad the government. By the time they are out of court over this matter, the Nigerian government will be losing so much, because they have the financial wherewithal to hire the best of legal luminaries to fight their cause. And my own position is that government needs to tax these luxurious items.
It's like the FRS, though they are trying, but there are still some hanky-panky games they play. Because when the tax paying stuff was tabled, that we discovered that people that pay tax, individuals, about 10 of them, they all live in Lagos. Why Lagos only? Is it that other states they don't have
the Port Harcourt, the Kano, the Abuja big boys?
What happened to those states?
But there is a rich man's world. If you are rich, you can get away with virtually everything.
10 or so individuals in Lagos
that pay above 1 billion something. I read it at that time.
Yes,
but this issue of import tax, import duty controversy, I think the federal government needs to really be on sure ground to be able to defend this people.
The finance minister should also put us together instead of taxing, paying. Fixing VAT on tariff on
telephone.
Yes, and carbohydrate drinks.
Carbonated drinks. It's people like you who drink carbonated drinks. But they are saving you from yourself. Because that is carbonated is not even healthy.
We are not complaining.
Okay, sorry. It's your right. It's your right to take your poisons. I mean, somebody will say, if smoking will kill him, let it. Something must kill him. So, I mean, it's quite it's a right issue, actually, that we should not overburden the poor and the have-not. The rich, there is a lot of tax on them. All these exotic items, all these luxurious apartments.
Even tobacco. They're supposed to be taxing tobacco.
They are taxing
just to discourage it, but they are not doing enough. They are still having their own thing. Anyway, before we go, let's see another paper we have on our menu. Vanguard says alleged partisanship. FCT police disrupt anti-CJM protest by CSOs. Alleged partisanship. FCT police disrupt anti-CJM protest by CSOs. CJN statement in Port Harcourt leaves much to be desired. CSOs ask him to resign or face nationwide protest. When the story broke, I thought they were just making a statement. I didn't know they were going to follow it up with protests. What is happening?
Well, what's happening is that I think I read last week that Article 8, one of the Frank Shaibu, Frank Shaibu was the one that raised this issue that the CJN should be called to order.
Because the CJN said,
he likes the G5.
Yes,
that is supposed to be the wicked. When it was so, I think it's a very dicey situation, but that should not warrant the call for CJN to resign. And I think this is partisan, even though they are making it look like CSOs are asking. No, it's not. It's politically affiliated CSOs. It's politically affiliated CSOs that are, and again, this brings to heart what happened to Onoge, CJ Onoge. In the lead up to 2019 election, when he was removed ignominiously in January of 2019. And we are now seeing a brewing up of protest to ask another CJN to release it. Meanwhile, it was another pressure that led to the resignation of the former CJN, the one from the Tanko Mohammed, over allegations by his colleagues in the bench and the Supreme Court bench about the mishandling and misappropriation of funds. So if there are serious issues coming from our judiciary, is unhealthy, because this judiciary is now the determinant of winner of elections. And that's why I think the judiciary needs to be very, very careful. I was at a celebration of the senior advocate the other day. And one of the justices of the Supreme Court was in attendance, and I liked the way she acted. I didn't want to mention her name. A lady. She was there. She was to be the chairman of that occasion. But there was also the former Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, Iku Foriji, and the lady justice just stylishly said, please let the former speaker be the chairperson. She didn't utter a word, and she didn't stay for long because whatever you say, people will read meetings to it. They will say, oh, don't you know she attended this, they have done pali. Because now the judiciary itself, no thanks to politicians, have been dragged into the electoral fray.
Yes, and which
they determine who the rightful candidate is.
The reason why I like one thing that Tanko Mohammed left behind, if he did not intervene at the time he did, these conventions wouldn't have taken place. This party convention.
Oh, okay.
He arrested them and told them, no, you must not go to court of frivolous to grant an ex parte order. Remember, you forgot it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I also
that intervention saved a lot of.
But as it were, unfortunately, even the electoral 2022 has streamlined that only federal court should entertain
politicians matters. Will go to different states.
That's why the electoral have now said it's only the federal court that can take pre-election matters. So you cannot go to your state high court. One will go to Nasarawa, another will go to Jigawa, Kano, and one will go to even Taraba to go. So first, recall what happened ahead of Soludo's election in Anambra, where the factions on APGA, one went to Duse in Jigawa from Anambra, another who came to Abuja. Now, all pre-election matters are to be taken by federal courts, so to kind of streamline. But again, politicians are not allowing our cause to rest because of even many frivolous petitions.
The CJ also said that Nigeria has become the most
litigious society. That is it. In fact,
I saw the story. I laughed. I said it's true.
Yeah. So many politicians now are not dragging the. They are serving as a cog in the wheel of progress civil and criminal cases. Because now,
Yes.
look, this whole month of November now, according to Chief Justice, Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, they have to mobilize judges of the Federal High Court to entertain only pre-election matters, to be able to dispose it of. The robbing opportunity litigants that have other cases with the judges, they now have to postpone. Sometimes adjournments, they adjourn cases for 6 months, for 3 months. This, I mean, why?
The reason why the prisons, I mean, the correction
Congested, yes,
congested.
congested because of this issue only. And you know, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA, 2015, says that criminal cases are supposed to be entertained within 6 months. But not so. Because politicians have even collapsed, they nearly collapsed our judicial system with all their litigations. Look at the case of Akpabio now. Look at the case of Machina versus
and yet the senior president told us that he was not going to court.
They said it's APC that went to court. He has. And these two people belong to your party. They done the same way with Akwa Ibom, even in Ebonyi, you know, all of this. But we hope we receive sense last.
We hope so.
We hope so. And that we will have peaceful 2023 elections.
Yes, like our Starboy Vice President, he said last. Analyze the video.
No, I didn't. I saw him where he was talking
analyzing the song.
No, I didn't see. The one I saw was where he was singing Buga in Lagos.
Okay.
It's just trying to be pedestrian and show that it's not a VIP, it's one of us. But we know who we are.
We know who he is. This is what we call it today. We've come to the end. How time flies so soon of this edition of Inside Nigeria. Don't forget, tomorrow is still another day, same time, same station. Chido, it's a pleasure. I look forward to having you on the station.
Thanks, beautiful Winifred. We hope to do this again together next week. Inshallah.
Thank you so much. Viewers, goodbye. I'm Winifred Bobo. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.